home at their own time. I think this is it in terms of what's going on, what the layout is. And now we are coming to the point why we actually here. Today we will present on the Research Companion chatbot tool that is new, actually newish on the market, primarily designed for research, well, for the post-award teams, but also all of us, because we in our work always have to be funder compliant, whatever we do. And the presentation will be done by Ashley Blake. Ashley is a post-award wizard with almost 20 years of experience in the field, so it's quite a lot. And on top of it, he's the tool creator, which is pretty good. And what are you doing? So before we start our presentation, Ashley, could you please introduce yourself briefly to us and let us know why the Research Companion chatbot is the way forward?
Okay. Oh, thanks for that great introduction, Anna. I really appreciate it. Nice to meet everybody as well. So as Anna mentioned, I've worked in research for nearly 20 years now. A lot of institutions across the UK. So I've worked at London Business School, King's College, Sussex Uni, Imperial. So when I worked at King's, I worked across Guy's campus in Denmark Hill also as well. And I worked at Goldsmiths Uni for a little bit as well, which was my first role in research. So I kind of fell into research. I didn't really know much about it. I literally started straight from the very bottom in terms of just setting up projects and raising invoices till I managed to understand what estates and indirects are and how to put costings together, and then moving on to the more post-award, where I spent the majority of my career supporting post-award teams and being the head of post-award teams also as well. In terms of the Research Companion, I think my company, which is called Research and Knowledge Exchange Support, or RKE Support for short, we were one of the principal partners at the ARMA conference this year. And just by attending and meeting people and speaking to people, there was a session there around using AI in research, and there wasn't actually anything out there that was kind of bespoke for research teams to use, and it was just kind of like ChatGPT's out there and Copilot and all of the systems that we're aware of, but there was nothing that was really there for research management. And that's kind of where the idea came from, and sparked my idea to actually get the Research Companion built. And we've had it built, we've had it active and working, and people paying subscription fees since October. And it's moved very quickly into the fact now we're actually building a personal AI tool for a university. And it's not only about their funders' terms and conditions. We're actually building in their internal organization policies also as well. So we're putting in their travel policy. We're putting all of their business units in there. I've actually consulted for this university for a year. And one of the issues that we found, we just kept, not just me, but the whole team, we keep getting asked the same questions over and over again. And I think, as you can manage, if you work in a central team where you're being asked the same question over and over again, you are providing that information, but it's a case of when they need that information again, it could be 3, 4, 5, 6 months down the line. Do they want to look through 200-300 emails to find that one email that I sent them in the middle of January last year? No. And what the internal processes actually does, it will actually stop that bottleneck, and it will stop the need for having to kind of ask those questions where you can literally just ask the chatbot anything you like, and it will give you an answer based on the terms and conditions that are input into the chatbot.
Thank you. Great. So we want to see the product. Can you let us know more?
Yeah, I'll share my screen with you. Just let me know when you can see my screen.
Yeah.
Can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. Okay, so this is the front page of the chatbot website on rkecompanion.com. So what if you put archaeindependent.com in the website, this is the first page that will come up, and it just kind of just gives you a update on why we created the tool, which was to be used by principal investigators, co-investigators, center managers, research assistants, post-award administrators, and managers. So it's kind of making sure we don't have to sift through 200, 300-page documents anymore. We know the basis of the information, so it's just checking that the information and guidance that we're following are correct. So why would you use the chatbot? So it's got a comprehensive knowledge base. So these funders here are all of the funders that you can ask the chatbot questions on. So in relation to any of these funders, you can say, what could I do with this grant in this situation? And it will give you an answer to either guide you in the right direction, it will give you the process to follow, or it can just be used as a sounding board. You might just want to bounce ideas. You might not have anyone to do that with, so you could actually use the chatbot to do that as well. Every month, new funders will be added to the knowledge base. So that way you are getting a kind of growing knowledge base of research funders, terms and conditions and information that needs to be provided. And again, which we've stated to people before, if you work with a funder that might be pretty obscure, it might be just your organization that works with that funding body, and you would like the chatbot trained on those terms and conditions, if you just drop us an email of the name of the funder, we will then do the rest, and get that information uploaded for you. But those updates happen on a monthly basis. We also have a PDF guide document. So myself and my company, we are also monitoring officers. So we help support Innovate UK as independent contractors to monitor projects. So there's guidance around that, which we have that you may not be privy to, that we've actually put into these guidance documents that you can download yourself. And there's also guidance documents on there of how to manage DTA projects, prosperity partnership awards, so things that don't generally sit within your general day-to-day remit of following terms and conditions from funders. And then there's also a chat feature where you can speak to all of the members that are online and ask questions and share ideas also as well. So what benefits will you get from using the chatbot? It's hopefully going to save you time, help you deliver a first-class service, not only to your internal peers, but also externally as well. It will boost efficiency, um, enhance training. So, for example, I know, for example, of a few members of staff that an institution where I support, they have signed up to the chatbot, and the peace of mind it gives them just to not be asking questions or waiting for more senior members of the team to kind of ask the same questions over and over again. It just means they can kind of get on with their training and help move forward with what they need to do at their own pace, and not feel the pressure that they're burdening in the team, asking them the same questions over and over again. And you get immediate 24/7 results. So no matter what you ask the chatbot, you will be given a response. So we have two pricing structures. So the way that it works either £40 per month, which you also get a 7-day free trial, and this is per user, or you have a yearly plan where you save 2 months and it's £400 for the year, and you also get a 7-day free trial on that also as well. If anybody after this call would want to book a demo call, and kind of get some more in-depth information from myself, please just click on the demo here and book a call today, and myself or one of the team will speak to you. So in regards to the chatbot, once you click on this is here, which is your own personal dashboard, you would go into the chat profile. So here you have a tab. So if you want to ask the chatbot a question, you would click here. So these are 4 preloaded questions already. And here you could say, so when a timesheet's required on a UKRI grant, and give it a few seconds to think. And it will detail the answer for you of when timesheets are required. You can bookmark these, so you could bookmark them so they sit under your favorites if it's a query that you come across quite regularly. And just to ask another question, you simply go back to the chatbot, and we could put here, what process do I follow to calculate staff costs? So here, now I've put in this, it will detail the steps that I need to follow when putting together staff costs for Horizon Europe funding, that I need to follow the 215 days, along with having timesheets and the correct steps to follow and the correct records to keep to make sure that I'm compliant and ready for audit. And again, one of the organizations that we are building the internal system for, they have recently had two Horizon Europe audits where they had underclaimed on equipment, on the depreciation cost for equipment by around 30k per project. And it was two projects that were audited by the PwC team, by the EU audit team, and the cost of the system to implement them for a year is way less than £60,000. So just on those two projects alone, it makes sense that the chatbot will take them through what they need to do, the correct calculation that they need to follow. And if those two projects were never audited by the EC, they would never have known that they'd actually underclaimed by 30k plus on each project, which the EC kindly gave them back. But if the projects weren't audited, they would never have known. So if we look at that on a wider scale, imagine how many projects that weren't audited that they might have cost themselves money on. And this is one of the things that the chatbot wants to try and resolve. On top of that, we also have a guidance documents tab. So here you can, their guidance documents will be uploaded on a monthly basis also as well. These are all PDFs, so they're all downloadable directly from the system to save directly to your laptop. So the first one is about chat prompt suggestions. So you could go into this document here and it will just give you a few prompts that you can ask to get used to using the chatbot if you've never used it before. And each prompt is per funder. And then we also hold live events. The last live event we had Andrew Dicking from the UKRI Funding Assurance team, and he delivered a presentation on funding assurance visits. So that information is in there and made accessible for you also as well. And as I mentioned before, we are monitoring officers as a company. So there's Innovate UK claim and forecasting guidance as well. And what we look for is monitoring officers to make sure your claims get approved as quick as possible. So all of that information is in our guidance documents, which is uploaded every month and updated every month for you to review, have a look at, and save down to your file as needed. In terms of other features, we also have a community chat feature. So every member that is signed up on the chatbot can speak inside the community chat feature and ask questions, share ideas. We've had some great discussions around how people treat exchange rates on foreign currency projects and when they draw income down and just trying to resolve issues. So that's what the chat feature is there for, is just to share ideas, share best practices and share knowledge. Um, from there, you also have your profile where you can put a picture and update all of your information. And then your subscription is your subscription was £30 a month when we originally signed up, but the price has gone slightly up now. So if you ever wanted to cancel your subscription, you can do that yourself from your dashboard, and you simply just click cancel, click yes, and your subscription will be cancelled from there at that point. And just to kind of a few things to add, since I last demoed this to Anna, we have added a attachment file. So now you can actually upload attachments to documents. So if you had a contract and it was a small contract that you wanted to upload, you could do that in the sense of where you can upload that contract and ask the chatbot to summarize it for you. But the only thing is, because the chatbot hasn't been pre-trained on that information, when you do upload a PDF, you do need to make sure you are very clear in the questions that you ask. And you do need to make sure very clear in the details that you give it, because if it's just a broad question, it will struggle to answer it because it hasn't been trained on that information. So when you do upload an attachment, please ensure that you give it a clear answer. Also, the chatbot is multilingual, so it can speak back in various different languages, and you can speak to it in different languages also as well. We have kind of a ton of features that we're planning to add. We're actually in contact and speaking to a few funding organizations who are going to feed directly information to us. So we've got real-time updates directly from funders. So there's a lot of interesting things in the space moving forward that we plan to move forward with. Any questions from anybody so far?
I might have a question, actually, Ashley. Is there any option for like an enterprise license to buy, like one of the universities or teams would like to try the product, and do you offer any option?
Yeah, we do. Let me just show you. Let me just share my screen again with you. Okay, so can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Yep. Okay, so in terms of the enterprise option, I think I mentioned before one of the universities that I consult with is Heriot-Watt University, and we were going to do a university-wide system for them. But what we agreed was just to kind of do a research system for them, which mirrors our system, and it's plugged with and understands the main funders that they work with. So it's only trained on three funders' terms and conditions, which are UKRI standard grants, Innovate UK grants, Horizon Europe, and Horizon Europe grants. But in addition to that, we also have their internal travel policy, and we also have their financial regulations, and we also have their procurement policy as well. And the reason for that is, I think I mentioned before, this calendar year, I had 44 queries at the university from members asking me what business unit number is related to their project, and just queries like that. And it's a case of where I've got a pretty strategic consultant role at this organization. So if I'm receiving 44 queries around a business unit number, imagine what the team are receiving. So in return to that, I am then now forwarding on that query to somebody else. So just for something that is a business unit number, which is a 4-digit number, there's now 3 people that have been involved in that process. And the chatbot will now help with that process, where you can literally, instead of writing an email to me or another member of the team, you can simply say, can you provide me with a list of business units and corresponding business unit numbers? And it will simply give you the answer. And this can be used by anybody inside the organization. So this is kind of like the enterprise package that we're offering to them, because when we looked at the cost in terms of what it would cost to have 25 users, say, they worked out the saving that they're going to have over the long term, and the benefits of having their own system was a lot more beneficial to them. So if anybody is interested in an enterprise package for their team, that can be done. The base cost for that, for the smallish package, which starts at around 10K, and moving on from that, is the cost can go up to, depending on what you would like. For example, we're building one for an organization, and they are hoping to have it university wide. They're looking to have around 600 to 700 active members of their university on their internal platform, and they are uploading every single internal policy that they have in their organization. So their modern slavery policy, their procurement policy, HR, ethics, and along with that, they're also uploading they also want us to put the funders' terms and conditions in there as well. And the only thing that you need to be aware of is, when you do have an enterprise package, is that there's also tokens. So when you ask a question, that costs a token. When you get an answer, that's a token, let's say. So there's also that element is a cost to them as well, which depends on your usage. So around 750,000 tokens can cost anywhere between 6 to 8K.
Hmm. Yeah, thank you, thank you. But there is definitely an option as well, and I'm glad to hear that on other universities are very interested as well, and in the enterprise option. Okay, I think the main presentation time is over.
Yeah.
I would welcome everyone to ask Ashley, since he is here and has the product available, any questions you might have.
Don't all jump at once.
Yeah. Um, Ma- Marina?
Hi, everyone. Hi, Ashley. Thank you so much for the presentation. I asked in the chat, but I can also ask like this. What documents are you training your chatbot on? Is it
So
the documents that you shared in the download section, or
no,
uh,
so the documents that are trained on is the funders' terms and conditions and the award criteria. So if you've got a grant from, say, UKRI, it's trained on those terms and conditions, so that way you can now ask the chatbot what you need to do in a certain instance to be compliant, and then that's the information that it will respond to, it will supply back to you. So, for example, a lot of people are using the chatbot in terms of Horizon Europe funding, because that might be a main issue and a main area of concern and navigating the terms and conditions. So just knowing to use the 215 days, making sure you need to collect timesheets, making sure you divide the hourly, the yearly reporting period salary by the 215 days to get your daily rate, just making sure you calculate depreciation costs correctly, if VAT can be included or not, and where it can and where it can't be recoverable. Those are the types of queries that we want people to be asking the chatbot, and that's the type of compliance information the chatbot is trained on. So the PDF documents are just guidance documents from my personal experience or my team's personal experience, or just presentations that we've been provided when we've had live events from people in the sector. So the plan moving forward with those is we will get input from wider universities and people working in the field to kind of get their perspective on how they treat things, and it's just kind of a knowledge base to share ideas.
right? So it's mainly for post award, right?
Yes, but I think the problem is, and one of the things I would probably say that's probably partly my fault as well, is because I've worked in post award so long, I've kind of built this tool with a post award hat on. But from people that are using the tool and the feedback we've had from the tool, we've got principal investigators who are using the tool, just for the sheer fact that they might want to know something or know what costs are allowable and what are not, and they just want an instant answer without having to wait 2 or 3 days for a response from a central team. We've got pre-award teams that are actually using it just to kind of check what costs can be charged against projects, where overheads in the States are allowed and where they're not allowed. And also we've got faculty staff that are using it as well that might work with the PIs, but they don't actually work with research funders' terms and conditions on a daily basis. It's always good to just kind of have the research companion in the background to say, oh, let me just ask this, I'm not really too sure. So it's just kind of used as a tool, as a guide to take you through the way. I think if you work in post award on a regular basis, you'll probably be up to date with 80% of the terms and conditions that take place. But it's always good to have that sense check. If I use the equipment where the equipment depreciation was calculated wrong on a Horizon 2020 project, and it's cost that, well, they got the money back, but they could have been out of pocket £60,000. So where is the fall down in that process? Is it the whole team that are doing that wrong? And if so, could the research companion have stopped that from being a case? Because I think sometimes we can fall into a trap of believing we know something one year, but there could be it doesn't mean it's right. And it's just making sure we're getting that consistent information across to everybody that works in the team and not just a few people. It can be someone could start tomorrow and don't know how to um, complete a staff costing. The chatbot can show them, and that's the kind of the great benefit. It's your aid while you learn, and it also keeps you up to date as well.
And in your corporate version, can you train this tool to, on your emails, in your
No,
mailbox?
no, we haven't got there yet. But there are a lot of interesting features that we can add on in terms of how it can manage. But we haven't trained it on emails yet and how to manage your email inbox. But that would definitely be a help from working in research, as you know.
Yeah, because this is something you mentioned before. Like if you answered something, a year ago, it would be helpful to fetch just from the email. And there is another question in the chat, by the way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank
Okay.
you, Ashley.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Daniel, you have a camera on. Do you have do you have a question before I read the question for Ian?
I did have a question, but yes. So with regards to both the pricing model, to start with, you mentioned that there are tokens. So does that mean one institutional subscription you get a certain number of tokens for free, and then additional tokens are being charged, or is that a separate charging process?
Okay, so the token process is if you have the enterprise option. In terms of that, and that is a separate charge, yes. But for example, if you signed up to the working model that I demoed to everybody that we have at the RKA companion site, once you sign up for your monthly fee, you can ask the chatbot as many questions as you like.
But that's on an individual user basis.
Yes, correct. Yeah.
Okay. And then the other question that I had was on such a thing like an institutional. Well, first of all, you mentioned you can upload documents in there. Would that then be sort of the model be trained for the whole community, or is that something that would be then specific to the user? Because obviously there may be some form of confidentiality with regards to what documents should be or could be uploaded.
Yep. So in terms of that, again, that's the reason for an enterprise option, is in terms of that they can actually have their own personal documents uploaded, where the chatbot option that I've shared, we don't have any personal documents uploaded on there. That's just purely the funder's terms and conditions and the compliance requirements from each funder. And the process that we have to go through in terms of using an enterprise model checks all of the software. None of the information is stored in the cloud, just so it's safe and secure and it's on a server. So all of those necessary steps are taken and vetted by each organization that we are planning on building an enterprise model for.
And maybe one last question. I mean, you mentioned that obviously there are updates on a monthly basis, and
Yeah.
for UKRI, for example, you mentioned standard grants. Obviously, there are much more specific ones with more specific terms and conditions, as I'm sure you know, so and there may be even specific terms in award letters and the like. So would you, on an institutional model, then recommend that people would upload individual award letters, for example? Because I mean that may be, I mean, just in terms of tokens, I mean, it may be incredibly expensive, and also very, very sophisticated. Then you'd be asking on a grant by grant basis, basically.
Yeah, so that's why we cut. So for the internal model, for the enterprise model, you could have any documents you want uploaded. It just depends on the budget and the size of how many people will be using it. In terms of the RKE companion, that's for UKRI currently. There is UKRI standard grants and training grants is what the model is uploaded on, and that's also one of the reasons why we've added the attachment feature, where you can upload any attachment you like. So if you just got a grant letter from a small charity who not many people have heard of, you can now upload that document in there. Yes, it will be a bit of a cost to us, but we've factored that in terms of, you are, like any product you have, you will have heavy users, and you'll have people that maybe use it once a day, and there might be some people that use it 10 times a day. So we've factored that in also as well.
So basically, you'd be then learning from such award letters on those smaller charities to add to your funder portfolio. Is that correct?
Yes,
okay.
correct.
Okay, thank you.
And like I've said to everybody, this is a tool for the community. It's kind of swung around a little bit in the sense of that we're creating silos for different institutions, where we kind of wanted everybody to be on one institution. But I think with the power of AI and how it can speed up people's workday, it's probably only natural that organizations want their own one with their own tailored information. But the main RKE companion tool is a tool for the research community. So if there are features or things that people want added, I hope Anna will share. I've got a presentation that Anna can share with everybody after, and my contact details as well. Like I said, please feel free to reach out, because this is a tool for the community. I've worked in research for a very long time, and I understand the pitfalls and the issues that we all face, especially working in post-award and just kind of being at your desk doing claims all day and doing reconciliations and raising invoices. I understand that more than anybody. So to kind of, this is a bit of a way for me to give back as a person as well, in the sense that I want people to go and meet PIs and talk about the actual great research they are doing, and not just spouting terms and conditions at them saying you can't do this and you can do that. I want people to have a bit more enjoyment and fulfillment in the role that they're delivering.
Great, thank you, Ashley. I really appreciated what you just said, that you are doing this for the whole community, and I think this is a very good approach, and especially your experience. And I think many of us have dealt with the post award and so on. It's a very, very hard job. Not everyone is available to answer your question having a companion or assistant on site. You can always ask, and it's available to you. It's a great a great help at work. Okay, I'm coming back to the question that we have in the chat from Ian. Ian, sorry, I'm just coming to it now. So the question is, could you please share with which Gen AI model is being used to run the app?
Okay, so the app runs on an API which is based off of it runs off of ChatGPT 4.0 and Gemini.
Okay, great, thank you. Does anyone have any other question? Oriana?
Hi there. Thank you very much, Ashley. It was really insightful. I just have a question. As far as I understand, correct me if I'm wrong, this app is to help researchers to manage through the tender project applications, costing, maybe reporting. Would that also app help people to have a one-stop shop for tender opportunities and partnership research, like finding partners for particular projects, or this is a completely different territory?
No, again, I think that will happen just naturally in by using the chat feature and people speaking and sharing ideas and maybe speaking about their organization. But I wouldn't say the tool was necessarily created for that, in the sense that I think there's probably better tools out there and better resources aligned to doing that, where this is more supporting with the compliance and the project management of the project.
Thank you.
Thank you, Boriana. Does anyone have another question? We have just 10 minutes left, so it would be a good opportunity to use the remaining time. No. Okay. I was just wondering, Ashley, if you could just give us an example, because you have a couple of users right now where this actually work or didn't work, and what your recommendation would be based on this experience for us, how we can use the tool in our favor.
Okay, yeah. So, like I said, I'll speak about two main users, because there was a person that I spoke to who just signed up on their own. They work at a higher education institution, and they it was £30 a month for the original membership, and they didn't want to ask their organisation for the funds. I'm not sure why, if they felt like they could or they couldn't. I'm not really too sure. But what they did do was signed up themselves. I had a conversation with them, kind of showed them how to use the chatbot. I gave them a demo, and after the week's free trial, they got back in contact with me, so they're really enjoying the tool, really liked it, and I think it was just that peace of mind that the tool gave them, that they were working in a faculty on their own. And they were getting a lot of questions from PIs. They said they were generally the first point of contact for PIs in their faculty, and they were kind of getting a lot of questions about what they can and can't do on projects. And just having that peace of mind of asking the research companion the questions really helped this person firsthand. And they do email me quite a lot, just keep saying thank you, which is really nice. And one of the things that which did shock me was that she did say, will my institution be able to see the questions that I ask? And I said, oh no, of course not. It's, no one can see what you ask. It's purely down to whatever you decide to ask the chatbot. And I just kind of delved a bit deeper with this person and asked them why they felt like that. And I guess it's kind of that imposter syndrome where she felt like she should know something, or maybe she should have been able to understand what estates and directs are by now because she's 6 months in the role. And it's just, I think the research companion is kind of giving you that tool to just ask away, because I think we can all be in that situation where we think we should know something and put time pressures on ourselves to do that. I think when I've worked in teams and headed up research teams before, I generally tell all of my staff, I won't really be expecting very much from you in terms of understanding until about you a year in the role. And I've had many of them kind of said that they've laughed at me and said, oh, I'll catch this and pick this up within 3 to 6 months. And I've been in research nearly 20 years now, and I still come across things every single day that are new to me, or that one scenario that you've never come across somehow always crops up. So I think just that learning tool and that support mechanism, that where if you are working from home, or there's not many members of team in the office, that you can just speak to a community, or you can just ask the chatbot and say, or you can just look at one of the guidance documents and think, oh, that's a different perspective, or we actually do the same thing from the guidance documents, but we've missed out 2 steps that would actually help. So it's just kind of that knowledge base where I think we all know what we do at our institutions, but we need to kind of understand what other institutions are doing as well, because some things are better, some things are worse, and we need to know how to implement that.
Mm. Yeah, thank you. Any other final questions? Is anyone on the call? Did anyone try similar tool for their work? No, possibly no one. It possibly was ChatGPT and so on. So it is very. I'm very excited for your product, and I hope there will be many more coming and helping us doing our work. From what I sense, that it's kind of help, especially for the colleagues who are maybe at the start of their career, because they have more question, and then they have constantly someone available on their side, but maybe also someone who is doing some things, and then 6 months on repeating, and then you forget. So you have someone also on your side where you can just double check, okay, how did it go? So it is a lot of help. It will be helpful for me. So what are your plans in terms of feature? Are you planning to add more features? How do you see the product to develop?
Yeah, so like I said, in terms of plans of what we've done, so since we've launched, we've obviously added the attachment feature. We've got quite a few more things that we are planning to release. Obviously, there'll be a voice feature soon, where you won't, if you can't read on the screen for any particular reason, you will be able to just press a button and it will just speak back to you, and you'll be able to speak to the chatbot as well. So that's the next big feature that we plan to add in the next year. But I think at the moment we're not really planning on adding features. We just want to get the tool out there. We want people to use it for how it is now. And then we want to kind of, from people's user experience, then we'll know how to develop the tool. I feel like sometimes businesses can develop a tool with a lot of things that are not needed. And like I said, I worked in the research sector, and I'm actively working in the research sector every single day. So I see the things that are needed, and I see what's needed and what's not needed. And I think at the moment, just having that peace of mind, most universities are stretched in terms of budgets and lack of recruitment, being able to recruit staff or retaining staff, and especially within the research sector. I actually delivered a talk on that at the last ARMA conference. So I think at the moment where we are, we're very happy with where we're at, but we just want to get the tool out there, get people using it, get it into systems and get it into organizations. But also, like I said, it's not just a case of where we want to focus just on research. Can we help you with your internal policies as well, and kind of give that wider benefit than just the research sector? That's probably our biggest goal and biggest feature. Is it was created as something just for the research tool, as a research tool, but we've seen the benefits that it can give to the wider community and the wider organization, which is why we are getting requests now for an enterprise models that I showed earlier.
Great, thank you. There's a couple of messages in the chat. Virginia, okay. Okay, that's very interesting. Virginia, maybe you can jump in and tell us about, instead of me reading something from the chat.
Hi, sorry. I I know the meeting's about to end. Yeah, I had something come up and I couldn't join at the start. So I didn't really get to see the whole tool. I just kind of came in at the end. But it sounds really great. And I couldn't remember. I just wondered, is it focused on, well, it sounds like you're aiming to expand it for institutions to use it also for their all kinds of policies. But currently, is it focused on like, as it's training data or whatever it's using, is it focused in any way specifically in the UK, or is it something that can be adapted to any institution? Like, I'm in the US, by the way.
Okay, yeah. So it's trained on. So, for example, all of the Code of Federal Regulations, so NIH, NASA, Department of Energy,
Okay.
trained on all of those terms and conditions, along with UKRI, Innovate UK, the European Commission. So it's 25 funders in total that is trained on currently at the moment. Wellcome Trust, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and we're adding those funders on a monthly basis. But as we mentioned as well, there's also that attachment feature in there. So if you do have your own documents that we haven't added yet in terms of policies or terms and conditions, you can add that. You can just simply add an attachment and create a query, ask the question yourself, and the chatbot will then give you a response from there.
Okay, cool. Okay, thank you.
Because I think, and it's so in terms of your question, in terms of there's other organizations in the US doing this. I think when one of the universities that we met with, I think they haven't had anything that kind of covers all bases, and that's one of the reasons why they kind of spoke to us about including their internal policies as well. And it was also, they were very honest and said maybe they could probably look into building something themselves, but for one, they know they're not going to have the time, and secondly, with the our pricing model, it made sense for them to kind of get something ready and done now, where they could maybe have the time to have something ready in a year or two, where we
Okay.
could have something ready for them in 3 to 6 months.
Right. Yeah, no, that sounds amazing. And I just being in conversations with our research administration at all levels. Yeah, everybody has questions all the time about everything. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Jenny. Okay, so this is the end of the session. Thank you so much, Ashley, for being here and showing and talking about your product. This is, I would say, thank you from all of us, from the community, from everyone. And please go ahead and use the product, spread the word. You will definitely benefit. And if not you, then maybe one of your colleagues. Thank you, everyone, for attending the session. And thank you also everyone who is going to view the session later on. And if you have any questions, please contact Ashley or send me a message as well. And I will connect you to Ashley if this is convenient. Okay, thank you everyone. Have a good rest of the day and see you next in the next session.
Thanks, Anna.
Bye.
Thanks for having me as well.
Bye.
Bye.